Singapore's economic growth in 2025 is expected to be weaker than this year. While 2024 is likely to end off strong, growing by about 3.5%, GDP for next year may come in between 1 and 3%. That's as geopolitical conflict and uncertainties continue. Nasyrah Rohim reports.
A classic Singaporean breakfast to start the day, enjoyed by both locals and tourists. Despite data from the Trade and Industry Ministry showing consumer-facing sectors like F&B and retail contracted, Yakun says demand remains strong.
I think there is a slowdown in the high-end spending and high-end dining. However, you can still see a very strong dining out culture. So I would say that the middle to lower end tier of price structuring for food is still very vibrant and still very strong.
Still, MTI's outlook for the sector in 2025 remains dim, as more Singaporeans are out travelling while visitors coming in are lower than expected and spending less too. Instead, bets are on the manufacturing sector, which expanded 11% in the third quarter and pushed GDP to grow 5.4%, beating expectations. The electronics cluster is projected to continue growing, supported by strong demand for semiconductor chips in end markets such as PCs and smartphones.
For Singapore, usually, this upcycle, tech cycle usually lasts for like 18 months. So barring, any immediate downside risk, I think there's still a good momentum and there's still room for Singapore's tech production to catch up. So I think for at least, the first half of next year, we should still see some sustained momentum in the tech cycle here.
Risks to next year's outlook include continued geopolitical tensions and uncertainty over whether the incoming US administration will implement tariff hikes.
There will be renewed inflationary pressures which could disrupt the pace of monetary policy easing. And this will keep financial conditions tighter for longer in the US. It could also trigger retaliatory trade policies from US trade partners. And I think these are the two immediate outcomes that we are monitoring closely.
Mr. Bay adds that while overall GDP growth in Singapore's key trading partners is expected to ease slightly next year, consumer demand may cushion the blow for some markets.
Singapore has also cut its non-oil domestic exports forecast for 2024 amid a weaker than expected recovery in the second half of the year. Full-year NODX is expected to grow 1% on-year, down from the forecast in August of a 4 to 5% expansion. The downgrade is due to volatile segments such as pharmaceuticals and ships and boats.
I think pharmaceuticals is just a quite volatile sector with swings in production and shipments due to different changes in things like product mix and even maintenance shutdowns that is difficult to predict. So I think the performance for the coming quarter may still be weighed down by perhaps softer export demand.
Overall, Singapore's key NODX grew 9.2% in the third quarter, backed by faster growth in electronic shipment. Shipments of disc media products and PCs grew the most. Non-electronics exports also rebounded after 2 quarters of declines. The largest contributors were non-monetary gold, food preparations and specialized machinery.